Page. This is the Cash In
Straight cash, homie.
on Sports Map Radio.
Mike's hot.
Jason Page.
All right, let's do it. Good to be with you on this Wednesday edition of the program. Got a lot to do over the next 3 hours, and glad you've decided to take the ride with us. It's Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday, and that means we're giving stuff away. If you love baseball cards, I've got something cool for you. Yep. We're giving away a box of Topps, a blaster box of Topps Series 2 baseball. If you look on the screen, if you're watching the stream on Facebook or YouTube, the Decibel 88 channel, if you go and watch, you'll see the box that I'm holding up. Topps Series 2 blaster box. Now, why? Look, there's a lot of different boxes and a lot of different sets out there. But why Topps Series 2 blaster boxes are so cool is the card that I'm about to hold up. See, Brian? Brian's engineering the show and producing it back in Houston. Brian, you got to watch the stream because the card that I'm holding up right now is the card in baseball this year. This is the card you want if you're collecting baseball cards. And what is it? That's a Julio Rodriguez Series 2 SP. Yes. And it values, right now it's about a $300 card. And I pulled it out of one of these blaster boxes. So if you're saying, well, it's a blaster box, what am I going to get out of a blaster box? Well, guess what you're going to get out of a blaster box? You could, not promising anything, you could get this Julio Rodriguez Series 2. It's a little blurry in the picture. But this Julio Rodriguez Series 2 SP card, it is the card in Major League Baseball this year. His Topps Chrome will probably be worth quite a bit too. But that card right there, limited print. So you want to win this one. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at the back page. Send me a note that you're listening to the show. And it's as simple as that. All right. Some serious things to get into on the show tonight. We'll start it on the other side. Lamar Jackson's done talking about his contract. We'll get into it next on the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. Yeah, that Julio Rodriguez card, I got not a pack, but one of these blaster boxes that are like, $25. I was literally sitting on my couch with my husband opening them, and I almost passed out. I was like, holy shit. Because it's a limited print, and he's only going to have a couple of actual rookie cards this year. Like, he's not going to be all over the place. All right. Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll tell you the worst part, though. He got off to a slow start, and I had an autographed card of his from 2 years ago when he was in the minors. And at the beginning of this season, I flew to Seattle, and I sold the card to a card store. Yeah, I'm an idiot. God, I'm so stupid. No, but still, I was stupid. It was stupid. I kind of was, I was kind of, truth be told, I was kind of hard up for cash. I was just like, I need some money. And I knew I'd get a few bucks for it, I sold it for like $125, and it's probably worth double that now. And it was numbered. It was autographed and numbered to like 25 or 99, I forget. Yeah, I'm an idiot. You know what's been big in cards this year is those WWE. What's been big this year is those WWE cards. Oh, my God. WWE came out with a new trading card. It's not that. It's just The card industry is so big. So if you get there was a John Cena card at one point that was selling for like $7,000. Doesn't matter. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, I did see that. That was funny. Well done. All right, Vlad isn't ready, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay. What are you talking about? Are you talking? Yes, I was hearing you, and I'm like, am I losing my mind? That's funny. Yes, I was hearing you. Thank you. Good to have you with us. Coming up in about 15 minutes, the fallout continues for the NBA and the Robert Sarver Phoenix Suns debacle. We'll get into it. Try and make some sense of it all. Later in the hour, Shalise Manza-Young will join us. She does a great job. She's a columnist with Yahoo Sports, formerly of the Boston Globe. And we'll talk to her because she has written extensively about this NBA Robert Sarver Phoenix Suns. And frankly, it's a WNBA story too, which we'll get into with her. Howard Balzer will join us from GoPHNX.com, longtime NFL writer. He is a Hall of Fame selector. Howard Balzer will join us in the next hour, a little over an hour from now. So I want to start out tonight with some conversation on Lamar Jackson. And, I was thinking about it today as I was, kind of contemplating what I wanted to talk about on the show. And just as I was getting my rundown ready, I was sitting there and I read this story about Lamar Jackson, who, and look, I think he's, for a guy handling his own negotiations, for a guy handling his own situation without an agent, he's doing probably about the best he can. I still think it's not smart for him to do that, but that's the choice he's made. I've already talked ad nauseum about the fact that I think it's a foolish mistake to represent himself. But I think he's handling it the right way in at least saying, guys, I'm not talking about it anymore. He was asked about it today. These stalled negotiations. And look, there's not going to be a deal done during the season. When guys shut this stuff down or agents shut this stuff down, there's not going to be a deal. The Ravens have made it clear they've made their best and final offer, and he's made it clear he's not accepting it because it doesn't have enough guaranteed money in it. And for those who don't know, according to Chris Mortensen and Adam Schefter at ESPN, Jackson turned down the Ravens' 5-year extension worth over $250 million that had $133 million guaranteed at signing. He wanted it all fully guaranteed, and the team said no. And he pointed to, hey, Deshaun Watson got this. He wanted a deal similar to what Deshaun Watson got. And frankly, I don't blame the Ravens. Just because the Browns were stupid and decided to give Deshaun Watson the keys to a mansion that he hasn't even earned in the midst of one of the bigger NFL controversies involving a player in recent years, just because they were dumb enough to do that doesn't mean Baltimore should follow them off a bridge and give a guaranteed contract if they don't feel it should be fully guaranteed. They've made an evaluation on what they think Lamar Jackson is thus far, based on watching him play, based on his postseason success or lack thereof. So they've made that decision, and I don't have a problem with that at all. And, Richard Sherman could get all bent out of shit. At the end of the day, they're making an evaluation and a decision that this is what they're going to do. They did something similar with Joe Flacco. They couldn't come to terms on a deal. He went and won a Super Bowl, and guess what? The guy got paid. Lamar Jackson, go out, win a Super Bowl, go have some postseason success, you'll get paid too. But Jackson's decided he's not talking. Respectfully, I'm done talking about it. He said, I told you guys before I was going to be done with it week one. Week one is over with. We're done talking about it. I'm focused on the Dolphins now. And that's the right way to handle it. But there's a painful reality that comes with this Lamar Jackson story. And I know he had a nice game against the Jets, and people after week one will say, see, he's going to get paid. Oh, they're going to have to pay him even more now because he had such a great game. Here's a painful reality. Not that Lamar Jackson is listening, but if he was. Here's a really painful reality I'm going to deliver to Lamar Jackson fans, to Lamar Jackson himself, to people who love the NFL, and here it is. It doesn't mean a damn thing what Lamar Jackson does during this regular season. Hear me again. He could go 14-3. He could have a fantastic year. It doesn't matter what Lamar Jackson does this early in the season. It doesn't matter what he does in the middle of the season. It doesn't matter if they win the division. Doesn't matter if they're a wild card team. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Here's what matters for Lamar Jackson. What do you do in the playoffs? What do you do when we get to the postseason? That is the only thing that matters for Lamar Jackson as it relates to this contract situation. What do you do when it comes time to get it done in the playoffs? Because thus far in his career, he hasn't gotten it done. And listen, this is a win league. It's win or lose. It's get it done or you don't get it done. And when you're talking about the kind of money, and I know you're going to say, well, but Deshaun Watson hasn't won anything. Again, just because one kid throws rocks at another kid, and then your kid gets caught doing it, but he says, well, but the other kid threw rocks too. That doesn't make it right. Just because one team does something that's ill-advised, and I'm sorry, the Deshaun Watson deal is ill-advised. No matter what you think of Deshaun Watson's potential, he still has to realize that. And he still has to get you somewhere before you give him the kind of contract they gave him, especially under the circumstances with which they gave it, which is a whole nother matter. But Deshaun Watson, in the postseason thus far for his career, just under a 56% completion percentage. He's played 3 games. He's thrown for 900 total yards. He has 3 touchdowns. He has 5 interceptions. 5. So it might all sound great. And you might tell me, but he did this in the playoffs. And he had 511 total yards in 2020 in 2 games and blah, 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 blah. All of that sounds great. Can you win? You're 1-2 in the playoffs. And that's all he's going to be judged on. If he does not perform, if they get to the postseason and he puts up another clunker and they go home early, man, that $133 million guaranteed was going to be a really good deal compared to what he's likely to be offered after that. It's like Deal or No Deal. Remember that show with Howie Mandel? Brian, do you remember that show? Producer engineer Brian McDonald. You remember Deal or No Deal? Yeah, Deal or No Deal. It was a great show. We all remember Deal or No Deal. And Howie Mandel would host. Don't touch him. He's a germaphobe. Yeah, he won't touch people. He's total germaphobe. But here, what would happen on that show is you'd get an offer based on the number of suitcases and the amounts in them, and you could get a great offer, but you could also hold out for a better one. But if you pick the wrong suitcase, that number's going down. Well, guess what? In the NFL version of Deal or No Deal, Lamar Jackson turned down a really good deal. And if he doesn't show in the postseason, I don't care what he does in the regular season against the New York freaking Jets. If he doesn't get it done in the postseason, Lamar Jackson ain't getting that great deal that he was getting offered in the preseason. He might get it might even be worse. He might get franchise tag. Yeah, but you want the long-term. It's 1 year. You want the long-term stability if you're at that position, especially the way he plays it. Especially with the kind of reckless abandon. And I don't say that in a derogatory way, by the way. But in the way he's willing to give up his body, the way he's willing to run the football. You can't play that way if you're Lamar Jackson on 1 year deals. Not safely. Not without putting a whole heck of a lot of money at risk. You just can't do it. So I'm interested to see, if he doesn't get to where he needs to be this season, that's going to be a problem. All right, I'm told Howard Balzer is going to join us in the next segment, by the way, so we'll do that coming up here in just a minute. Howard Balzer, go phnx.com. We'll talk some NFL with him. That's coming up next. I'm Jason Page. Thanks for listening to The Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Damn it. Oh, I got the time wrong. Well, we're going to have 2 interviews this hour. Or I'll hold off Shalice Manza Young until the next hour. Because it's a pre-tape. All right, I got to get Howard Balzer on. Hold tight. Damn me. Hey, Howard, can you hear me? moving along on this Wednesday night, 26 minutes past the hour. So, we'll be joined in the next hour by Shalise Manza-Young. I had said she would be joining us this hour. We'll talk to her next hour. I had my guests backwards. So Shalise Manza-Young will join us in the next hour of the program, talking NFL in this hour. We were just talking about Lamar Jackson and the whole situation there. Bringing in Howard Balzer, who does a great job. GoPHNX.com. You can check him out there covering the Cardinals. He's a Hall of Fame selector and one of the guys that anytime I've hosted a national show has been one of my go-to NFL guys, and he joins us here on the program tonight. I was just talking about the Lamar Jackson situation, so I'll piggyback on that with you for a second. Is it fair to say, and maybe I'm being harsh, but I was just talking about before we got you on, he's going to do whatever he does during the regular season. He'll put up whatever numbers he puts up. But what happens with his contract in the offseason, whether he gets the franchise tag, whatever, however this all plays out, is ultimately just going to be based on what he does in the postseason, isn't it?
Well, that's a certain amount of it. But, I mean, certainly we're not privy to all of the negotiations. There's reports of what was supposedly offered and how much of it was guaranteed and all those things. But by all accounts, the Ravens have made him an offer that's darn close to, the other top quarterbacks that are being offered. And some of those guys are not only being offered, that have been signed. And some of those guys haven't done anything in the playoffs. I mean, Deshaun Watson, now, when he was with Houston, they weren't that good a team, but certainly weren't successful in the playoffs. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray entering his fourth season. They've been in the playoffs once last season and got embarrassed against the Rams in one game. And so, while I think the reality is when you as a franchise have your quarterback, and we see it all the time, Jason, teams just chase quarterbacks wherever it might be, whether it's a trade, whether it's the first round of the draft, taking guys maybe higher than maybe they should, but there's that pressure to get that guy. Well, when you have that guy and you truly believe that he is your quarterback, not only of the present, but of the future, then you do what you can or what you have to do to line him up and to get him signed. Because if you don't, then where are you? I mean, if all of a sudden Lamar Jackson leaves, who's the Ravens quarterback? Well, they're back in the market trying to find somebody. And so that's why we see the prices escalate. We see that's why these deals get done. And in this case, it looks like, at least according to the report, the Ravens offered him money that was very close to all the other guys. And I think the biggest issue with Lamar Jackson isn't the playoffs; it's not having an agent.
Yep.
And an agent can cut through all the BS and all that stuff and say, "Hey, this is the best deal you're going to get. It's a good deal," and the guaranteed money is really irrelevant. I keep hearing all this debate how NFL teams were upset, at Deshaun Watson's contract and all those things. The reality is, if you are a quarterback in that age range, at 24, 25, 26 years old, and you're coming up on that next contract, the reality is, unless something catastrophic happens, that guy's going to be your quarterback for at least the next 5 years. And whether the money is guaranteed or not, you're going to get it. It's going to be paid because it's basically guaranteeing base salaries. And so that's what I think this whole debate over guaranteed money is, at least in these quarterbacks at this age, is kind of a waste of breath, really.
So then is it perception? Then is it just perception and how it's viewed by Lamar and not getting those same deals as a Murray or a Watson and, an ego, and does that all play into it? And again, if you have an agent, does it make it easier? Like you said, if you have an agent, you kind of take some of that ego out of the room because he isn't in the room.
No, exactly. And the agent can say, hey, look, this is the best deal you're going to get. He can explain that, no one else has gotten a deal similar to Deshaun Watson. It was an outlier, and it was a unique situation where you had 3-4 teams coming after him. And so the agent can say, look, you're going to get paid. I mean, all that money that's in the contract in year 3, year 4, year whatever it is, as long as you don't fall off the earth, then you're going to get paid. You're going to make that money, whether it's fully guaranteed or not. So yes, I think it is a certain amount of his perception, a certain amount of his ego. And everyone talks about, oh, Russell Wilson didn't get that much guaranteed. Well, he's 33 years old, so it's different in terms of where he is in his career. Derek Carr, when he signed a new contract with the Raiders, who's been doing it for a pretty long time, and there hasn't been a lot of playoffs there. But every year we hear that, oh, the Raiders are going to move on and get somebody else besides Derek Carr, and they haven't, no matter who the coach is, no matter what the situation is. But he's a quote, older quarterback also. You're not going to guarantee those guys anyway in the fifth or the sixth year, because who knows where they're going to be at that time. So, yeah, that's to me the prism it should be looked at. But I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. And like I said, they just harp on this fully guaranteed. Well, hey, you get the best deal you can, because if you start playing the franchise tag game and all that, maybe it pays off for you, but maybe it doesn't. And Lamar Jackson could be leaving an awful lot of money on the table with not working harder to get this deal done with the Ravens. And an agent probably would have worked harder to get it done.
Right.
I mean, the agent's on the phone all the time with the team, back and forth, emails, whatever it might be. I'm sure there probably hasn't been anywhere near the time spent on this negotiation with him not having an agent than there normally would be in a usual situation.
Yeah, plus agents have other players, and sometimes you rob Peter to pay Paul. There's all sorts of conversations and different machinations, in these processes between agents and teams. Talking with Howard Balzer, does a great job on the NFL. Go PHNX.com, covering the Cardinals as well. You saw the Kansas City Chiefs. They get the Chargers in Thursday night, Amazon Prime, that big game to kind of kick off that new package for Amazon Prime. Boy, Patrick Mahomes sure looked like a guy that still had plenty to prove despite winning a Super Bowl, didn't he?
I don't know, Jason, if he has anything to prove, but of course, I guess we can always argue that a player always has something to prove. That
the great ones always find something to prove.
Well, that's true. But the bottom line is Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. And I have a term called collective amnesia, and it happens with what people say before a game, and then what they say during the game, and afterwards. And that was true in the Phoenix area. They're all saying, "Man, this defense of the Cardinals has got some questions. They have no depth in the secondary. They don't even have a third cornerback. Patrick Mahomes could very well shred them." That's what everybody was saying last week. Well, in the NFL, of course, you're saying it every day. And then finally the game comes, and everybody's hoping for something different. And when it doesn't happen, the emotion sets in, and everybody's going, "Man, I can't believe Patrick Mahomes did that." Really? You didn't believe that? I mean, I actually heard a very notable guy on local radio say, "Yeah, I'm not surprised what Mahomes did, but, man, I never expected 40 points. You didn't?" Well, Jason, I did a little research. On that. Patrick Mahomes has started 63 regular season games in his career. 12 times the Chiefs have scored 40 or more points. So how can that be considered an outlier? That's what he does. That's what he's capable of, whether you have Tyreek Hill or not. I mean, you have Travis Kelce, you have other guys, but there's no question that the Cardinals being as decimated on defense as they are certainly contributed to it, but it's Patrick Mahomes. And it doesn't mean you're going to do that every game, obviously. Every quarterback has some of those games where, hey, it doesn't work well. But the guy, who, it's a matter of argument who's the best in the NFL. But I always revert back to, I'll go way back with Bum Phillips when he was the head coach of the Houston Oilers. And he had Earl Campbell as his running back. And someone asked him, "Is Earl the best running back you've ever seen?" And Bum in his Texas drawl said, "Well, I don't know if he's the best, but he's among them." and that's Patrick Mahomes. Everybody can have their favorite guy, but he's certainly among the best there is in this game today, and it's not going to change for a long, long time.
Howard Balzer, check out his work. Go PHNX.com. I look forward to talking to you throughout the season. Job well done as always. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Jason. Take care.
Love Howard Balzer. He's so good at covering the game. He's also on Sirius XM on the weekends. I'll throw that in there. My old stomping grounds. I have a lot of old stomping grounds. You work in this industry long enough, producer Brian back in Houston. You work in this industry long enough, you get a lot of stomping grounds. Oh, you've made the whole rounds, huh? Congratulations. Look at you. You get around. Good on you. Adam Silver talks about Robert Sarver, and while his lips were moving, what he was saying wasn't really making a whole lot of sense. We'll get to that next on the Cash In. This is Sports Map Radio. I was at Sirius 03 through 07, long before they merged with XM. About a year in, they got Stern. Believe it or not, I got hired there. I was one of the hosts of the morning show on the Gay Talk channel they had, OutQ. I used that to kind of get my foot in the door because, well, I'm gay. And then once they started launching original sports content, they were already like, all right, do we have anybody in-house that can do sports? And I was already positioned. Yeah. So I left the Gay Talk and went to go work for the sports side. And I did. I was on Sirius. Back then it was called Sirius Sports 123, which later became Mad Dog Radio, and now Mad Dog's on a different channel. I got let go just before Mad Dog left FAN and went there. I didn't get let go, actually. What am I saying? I left and went and took because Sirius XM is always been of the mindset of importing talent rather than building talent. That's changed a little in recent years, but mostly that's sort of been the mentality there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I said, so I got a job doing my first afternoon drive sports talk gig was in Hartford for an ESPN radio affiliate owned by iHeart. And I did that for 3 years. And then I went to ESPN radio. Then I went to San Francisco, 95.7 The Game. Did some hosting there. ESPN Radio New York in the city. And then NBC Sports Radio. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've made the rounds. Yep. I'll get around. All right, Vlad's ready. Get him. You like being behind the scenes? Oh, nice. All right, get Vlad lined up. Okay. Hopefully his mic is better tonight. it's been a ball drop. You know, you're talking about a situation where the Phoenix Suns are going to lose their owner for a year, and they're going to have to pay $10 million, but the NBA has not handled this well. And you started to see how this story could continue to escalate for the league beyond the $10 million fine and beyond the 1-year ban for Sarver. And that was LeBron James coming out today, shortly before we came on the air, and criticizing the way the NBA has handled this, saying basically they didn't do enough. They didn't go far enough with this ban. And I'm fascinated to see if you start to get more of an outcry from players around the league, players from the Phoenix Suns. Is somebody going to stand up and say something? It took a day or two, but LeBron said something. So where is everybody else? By the way, executive producer Vladimir Lewis is also here. He wasn't with us for the opening segment of the show. So here is Adam Silver today on where the NBA draws the line. Do they have a line?
There is not a bright line in terms of ownership, and I wouldn't.
I'll find that. I'll have to get that audio queued up. That's my fault. I dropped the ball, Vlad. We'll fix that, though. We'll fix that. I didn't have my iPad connected, so I'll get that fixed. But, I mean, when you get LeBron coming out and he puts a multi-tweet sort of thing up, when you get LeBron putting up multiple tweets in a situation like this,
it's not good.
No, when your league's biggest star, and say what you want about LeBron, this stage of his career, when LeBron comes out and starts saying this sort of stuff, it's just not good for the league. That's all there is to it. And Adam Silver is going to have to at some point answer to the players if they get together as a group and decide to sort of make a stance here. Let's be honest about it. There's really two things that change the trajectory of this story. One is obviously the players. If you get a situation like we had in L.A. with the Clippers, where there's conversation of guys not wanting to play for this team, or demanding that there be more action. The other is sponsorships, and we talked about that last night on the show with Kurt Heelan of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. If you fall into a situation where sponsors start bailing on the Phoenix Suns organization, and it's still too early to say if that'll happen, but if it does, well, then you've got a much bigger problem. All right, Adam Silver, where do you draw the line?
I think every one of these situations is going to be different. They're going to be fact-based. And as I said, I think you have to look at the totality of circumstances. You're looking at behavior over an 18-year period. I do believe that Mr. Sarver clearly has evolved as a person over that 18-year period. I think much of the behavior in question stems from much earlier in his tenure as an NBA owner. And I think what your litany leaves out are many very positive things he did as well, and also leaves out how those events were characterized by those people who are directly involved in them and how they described them to the investigators.
Wow. He did but what about? He did whataboutism. I mean, Adam Silver basically stood up and said, well, he was a knuckle-dragging Neanderthal on the evolutionary scale 18 years ago, but now he's slightly upright. That's basically what Adam Silver told you. And then I'll go a step further, Vlad. Then he says, well, there was stuff that wasn't put out in the report that I'm privy to, that when you put it into context, ... Well, how the hell are you having a transparent investigation if you're not putting that stuff in the report? All you're going to do is make people doubt the validity of that report if you're not putting all the information in. Why would you hold anything back? Especially if it showed Robert Sarver in a positive light and you're deciding to only give him a 1-year ban and not make him sell the franchise. Why wouldn't you put that in the report rather than have the PR disaster that the league's going to have? I think it's listen, here's what I think. I think the NBA traded one headache for another headache. They said, we would rather have the social media outrage. We'll take the slings and arrows for a couple of weeks and make the long-term bet that this will die down. Training camps are only a few weeks away. Heck, there's preseason basketball in like 2 weeks. I think the Warriors and Wizards play a game in like 2 weeks. So they're going to trade that and say, all right, throw your slings and arrows at us for 2 weeks, hem and haw, but we don't have to deal with the legal headache of Robert Sarver suing us when we try to take his team away.
Absolutely, they did that.
They traded one headache for another.
Yeah, they followed the NFL blueprint.
That's exactly what they did. They followed it to the T.
Yeah, they just did what the Commanders. This was nothing different than what 6 months ago when the Commanders situation with Daniel Snyder came out.
That's exactly right.
This is very similar to the Raiders, the Bruce Allen situation with the emails and everything. Let's just throw somebody out there, deal with the ramifications right now, and not have this play on and throughout the season.
Here's Silver.
That's exactly what it did.
Here's Silver explaining why this didn't warrant removal.
I want to rest on that neat legal point because, of course, there could be a process to take away someone's team in this league. It's very involved. And I ultimately made the decision that it didn't rise to that level. There's no neat answer here. I mean, it's other than owning property, the rights that come with owning an NBA team, how that's set up within our Constitution, what it would take to remove that team, from his control is a very involved process. And it's different than holding a job. It just is when you actually own a team. It's just a very different proposition.
Yes, but Adam Silver knows that process. He's done it. The league's done it. So let's not pretend there isn't precedent here. And essentially, Adam Silver ignored his own precedent. He went the Roger Goodell route. And I'm, for one, very disappointed. This is a commissioner that has tried to reshape the image of this league as being very progressive. And I think he has made just about the worst calculation. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say he's made the worst calculation because, again, in 2 weeks, nobody's going to be talking about this unless the media hammers it and unless you get a situation where sponsors start to drop out. And again, there could be pressure. The way this works is, God, not to get political, but you go back to Bill O'Reilly, you go back to Donald Sterling, you get these situations where somebody is known to have done something untoward and they're cast in a negative light. And then what happens is sponsors say, we don't want to be associated with that brand. And if enough sponsors do that, then you get change. Then you get something the likes of which could still happen in this case. And this leaves out one other thing. And I know most male 18 to 54-year-old males do not give a crap about what I'm about to say here. But I have a responsibility as somebody who has a platform on the air every night, on a video stream every night, on radio stations around the country. I have a responsibility to say this because I haven't heard anybody mention this. Robert Sarver also owns the Phoenix Mercury. He didn't just say things that were offensive about men. He didn't just drop the N-word several times. No. Robert Sarver engaged in misogyny and a level of discourse towards women that is not acceptable in any workplace in America today. And he owns a WNBA team. And I know a lot of people think that the WNBA is just some tax write-off for the NBA. It actually isn't. It's its own league with its own commissioner, with its own players association. And I got to be honest, I know it's in the middle of the WNBA finals, and there's probably a league-wide, hey, let's just focus on the WNBA finals. And I anticipate if the Las Vegas Aces dispatch of the Connecticut Sun in Game 3 and that series ends, I think the next day you're going to start to hear WNBA players, particularly with the Phoenix Mercury, stand up and say, this is not cool.
Yeah,
and
Mercury's not having a good summer here.
No,
Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner, and then this.
Robert Sarver. And then here's the other thing. The irony, bro. Chris Paul on another team where the owner's doing stupidness.
Thank you. I was going to get to that later, but you scooped me. Absolutely.
And he's what is he though? Is he still the president of the
I don't know.
Players Union?
I know he's very heavily involved in it.
I think he's still the president of the Players Union.
Yeah, he was at one time. I know that.
But the fact of the matter is, he's always. I mean, that's.
Where are you? Where are you, Chris Paul?
I mean, he might
like
be
a good
vacation.
neighbor. State Farm is there, but where is Chris Paul?
Well, Cliff will be there, but all right. The man might be vacationing. I mean, the season does start, so for this to drop out of nowhere, I'm not expecting them to come out with anything as of yet. But this is horrible. And if the Suns players, what's so nasty, Jason? Real quick, it's the fact that Phoenix is probably going to be a title favorite.
Of course, they're a title contender.
But what if the players say, I don't want to play for a man like that, even if for an owner like that, even if he's suspended for a year, and he signs those contracts, he's writing those checks. What do you do as the NBA?
Well, I think you force him to sell. I think if the rubber meets the road, they're going to have to meet the players' demands. The question is, do the players push this, or do they just decide to let it go? Again, Doc Rivers was at the forefront of that Donald Sterling story, an older black male. A guy like Chris Paul, older black male. Do some of these, and this is just a generational question, do some of these younger guys want to take this sort of stand and, put their own careers at risk? Because other owners around the league are watching how this plays out. And there could be backlash in that regard. I'm sure Sarver has friends around the league. I mean, there's a lot to it if you get players that decide to stand up and talk about this. Anyway, we'll get into it in the next hour. Shalise Manza-Young will join us from Yahoo Sports, their fantastic columnist, formerly with the Boston Globe. We will come back, get you set up for hour number 2, and tell you how you could win this cool box of Topps baseball cards. That's next on The Cash In on Sports Map Radio. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew you were going to be happy with Shalise.
What's up, man?
I knew you were going to be happy with Shalise.
Oh, my God. She is out of this world.
I was like, I got you. Don't worry about this.
Let me tell you. I will tell you, but All right, getting set to wrap up the first hour of the show. If you have not done so yet, go on Twitter, follow me at the back page. And the reason is simple. I've got this cool blaster box of Topps Series 2 baseball cards that, frankly, I've been sitting here staring at for a couple of weeks, wanting to open them myself, knowing I had to give them away on the air. The box of this blaster box of Series 2 Topps baseball. Very simple. Follow me on Twitter. Send me a message on Twitter. And we're going to pick a winner at the end of the show. Simple as that. Somebody's winning that blaster box. Maybe you'll get a Julio Rodriguez SP. We'll talk about Dak Prescott's thumb injury a bit more as we continue on the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. This is Sports Map Radio. Well, yeah.
Your girl Beetle.
It's going to be real simple. The 2 interviews and Lamar. Yep. And do it Lamar first and then the 2 interviews. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Still waiting for that audio.
What'd you say, Vlad?
Still waiting for that audio.
Oh my God, I know. I'm sorry.
Just send it to me. Just send it to me.
I know. It's not
No,
as
just
easy.
send me the whole show. Just send me the whole show.
I don't have the whole show. That's the thing. It's a little it's not a difficult process. It's just one that takes me a little time, and I got to remember to do it. Send me a text at the end of the show reminding me, because I live off of my phone, and if I see something in my text, I do it. I gotta see if I can get Shalise. I know it's late. See if I can get her to retweet.
I don't think so. She's sleeping right now because I tried to get her on for 11:25, and she said she couldn't because she got kids, to
Okay.
school. So she's not going to do it.
Well, then I'll just tweet out the interview tomorrow and have her retweet it then.
Yeah, because they can always go back and listen to it, right?
Yeah, I can't air that until 11:40 p.m. Eastern because it's too long.
Yeah, that's okay.
She was just she can talk, man. Like I said, she should be doing a show of some kind.
Oh, another female talent that if you were thinking about, I mean, I know she got her own thing, but Lindsay Rhodes.
Another hour starts right now on Sports Map Radio, the Sports Map Radio app. Also streaming live video via Facebook Live. If you go to the Decibel 88 channel, you can watch the show. And sometimes we even leave the mics on during the breaks. And you never know what we're going to say during the breaks. In this hour of the program, we'll hear from Shalise Manza-Young, who does a fantastic job. She's a Yahoo Sports columnist. You're going to want to hear what she has to say. She's been writing extensively about this Adam Silver handling of the Robert Sarver situation in Phoenix with the Suns. So we'll talk with her coming up a little later on in this hour. She used to be with the Boston Globe as well. She's covered sports for a long time. So we'll get into it with her on that. Also, I want to ask her about the Brett Favre story, which has been kind of interesting as well. And, I don't want to get too into it because he doesn't play anymore. But at the same time, you know, it's a story that's getting a lot more traction in light of certain events in the political landscape. This whole thing in Mississippi where they don't have any clean water. It's one of the poorest states in the entire country. And you've got Brett Favre basically going and weaseling out $1 million or $5 million or something like that of money from what was supposed to be COVID funds from the state, and instead taking it for a volleyball stadium at a school that his daughter goes to. Yeah, that ain't good. So we'll ask Shalise Manza-Young about that as well coming up a little later on in the hour. Should Serena Williams return? Retired, not retired, taking a break, not taking a break, evolving off the court, yada, yada, yada. There's an update in that story. And she actually references Tom Brady in her most recent comments, and I actually have a Tom Brady story. But when we continue, the latest in the Dak Prescott thumb injury saga and what Mike McCarthy is saying about his new starting quarterback. That's next on The Cash In. I'm Jason Page. This is Sports Map Radio. Okay. All right. Where's my Twitter? Tomorrow's Thursday already.
Yes, sir. That should look good.
Eating wing. Oh, I'm eating wings. Eating wings on the air.
Yeah, come on. Stop eating on the air, man. People don't need to see you eat on the air.
Oh, but they're so good. Husband makes these homemade wings. Oh.
Jesus.
A little peckish.
We not only celebrate, but also document evidence of personal growth. Just now, I was standing in the bathroom and a spider dropped down.
I think everybody's trying to get the cute, perky,
Hold on.
Oh, CP3 just said something.
What'd he say?
Jason.
Yeah. What'd he say?
Oh, shit. Just lost
Do you have a link to it? Can you send it to me?
It was Yahoo.
Let me see what I can find.
It's on his Twitter.
All right, I got it. Pulling it up now. All right, I got it here. Coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, we have a phone number if you want to call in. I'm still not good at giving this number out. I don't know why. It just doesn't come natural to me anymore. You do podcasting for a number of years, you kind of forget about. Hey, people can call in. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004 if you want to get at us. Also, giving it away before the end of the show, follow me on Twitter. Send me a message publicly on Twitter, and you might win this box of 2022 Topps Baseball Series 2. It's a blaster box. Why is Series 2 so important, you may ask? It's the one that has this card in it. This is the crown jewel of baseball cards this year, at least one of them. Julio Rodriguez SP. eBay, you'll find them for $300 to $330. Who knows? You might find one in one of those boxes. So all you got to do is follow me on Twitter, send me a note, and we will pick a winner at the end of the show. So Chris Paul is commenting on the Robert Sarver situation. We were all waiting to see when he would say something, and now he has. He is the first member of the Phoenix Suns to comment, and really the first NBA player to comment on it since LeBron James commented earlier in the day. Here it is. Like many others, I reviewed the report. I was and am horrified and disappointed by what I read. This conduct, especially towards women, is unacceptable and must never be repeated. I am of the view that the sanctions fell short in truly addressing what we can all agree was atrocious behavior. My heart goes out to all of the people that were affected. I don't know how to read that. I know people are going to say, what do you mean I don't know how to read it? He's condemning it, but he's kind of stopped short of saying he hasn't said anything that Robert Sarver needs to be banned for life, need to be made to sell the team. Hold on. But he hasn't said, I am of the view that the sanctions fell short in truly addressing what we can all agree was atrocious behavior. I mean, that's kind of in the direction of you got to do something more. Does it rally the rest of the players around him? Is this the beginning? Is this the beginning of something bigger when it comes to this story? We'll have to wait and see. But Chris Paul has indeed commented on Robert Sarver and his $10 million fine and 1 year ban from the NBA. And now you wonder, does Adam Silver have to start reaching out to these guys? Does Adam Silver have to reach out to LeBron James? Does he have to reach out to Chris Paul? Probably more to Chris Paul than LeBron. I mean, yeah, LeBron matters in the overall scheme of things, but
no, he both. He has to reach out to both.
But not that I'm pulling hairs or anything like that here, but Chris Paul's probably the more relevant one because he is the biggest star on the team that Sarver owns.
He's also the players. He's also the union president.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I said it was conflicted, because not only he's the union president, he's also getting paid quite a large sum of money from that man as well.
Yeah. It's very, it is kind of wild.
So when you're saying, oh, why is it Chris Paul? Yeah, it's conflicted. He's conflicted, bro. Like you get put in a position where something happens where the guy that's writing you a check also did something you're going to be conflicted.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you hear from Chris Paul. All right, switching gears. We'll talk with Shalise Manzi-Young coming up in about 25 minutes on the show. Get her thoughts on the Chris Paul reaction, non-reaction, LeBron James, this whole Robert Sarver story. That's coming up a little later on in the show. The conversation continues around Dak Prescott. Will he play in 4 weeks? Is he going to be ready in 6 weeks? Is he going to be ready in 8 weeks? Originally, we thought 6 to 8 weeks. Then yesterday, Jerry Jones was saying, maybe it'll be a little bit less. Now it's anybody's guess, because now it's sounding like they're not going to rush Dak Prescott when it comes to this injury. Here's his head coach, Mike McCarthy.
Everybody feels good about the surgery that Dak went through, from a medical perspective, but, from my perspective, he had surgery. So these next 7 to 10 days, he's in the healing stage, and, let's get over that hurdle first. And, but I know at the conclusion of the surgery, the surgeon was very optimistic.
Mike, just get off a treadmill or something? God. Easy, Mike. Listen to him breathe sometimes. It makes me nervous. Good Lord. Todd Archer with ESPN goes a little deeper into the mindset of McCarthy and the Cowboys as it pertains to getting Prescott back on the field.
Listen to Dr. Jerry. This is something within 4 weeks is a possibility, but is it realistic? And it sounded like to me that Mike McCarthy was kind of tapping the brakes on that possibility, wanting to see how you do these next 7 to 10 days in the healing process before even contemplating getting him back out on the field.
So, apparently with a heavy metal band behind him. Todd Archer earlier today. Hey, look, you know what's going to dictate the pace with which Prescott comes back? What happens on the field. If they can rush him back in 4 weeks and be fairly certain, if the team's not playing well, then 4 weeks it is, and you get what you get with him, because you figure even a banged up Prescott and maybe not at 100% is better than Cooper Rush. Whereas if over the next 4 weeks you've got a situation where, hey, they go 2-2, or even, heaven forbid, they figure out a way to win 3 out of the 4 games, which I don't think is going to happen. Maybe you can be a little more cautious with Prescott. It also depends what's going on in the rest of your division. But if you beat the Giants and Commanders with Cooper Rush, which is almost like a win and a half because of the fact that they're in your own division, maybe you take the approach of pulling back a little on the idea of rushing Dak back. Whereas if you lose to the Bengals in week 2, which, well, I don't know what the most recent odds are. I'll pull them up here in just a second. Then you're at the Giants in week 3. And who knows, if the Giants win a couple of games going into that, and, they're 2-0, all of a sudden the feeling around that Giants team starts to change. That's no picnic. Then the Commanders. Whereas if they're 1-3, and all of a sudden Dak comes back and the team is 2-2, well, let's say they win
2-2.
No, let's say when he gets back, they're 2-3 instead of, or we'll say, well, no, let's see, they've already lost a game. Let's say they're 1-4. If they're 1-4 through week 5, you got to get them back on the field, because then you're facing the Rams in LA, and then you got the Eagles the following week.
They're in trouble.
Oh, make no mistake about it. They are in trouble. But I think the rapidity, it's a good word, with which they get or decide to get Prescott back on the field is purely dependent, one, on his health and obviously what the doctors say. But as long as there's no risk of re-injuring it, even if he's not 100%, they're gonna rush him back out there, because their season's basically on the line. If they drop one of the Bengals and drop one of the Giants, and they're 0-3 out of the gate,
they're losing to the Commanders.
Yeah, that game's in Dallas in week 4. I don't know.
But I'm sorry. I'm not going with Cooper Rush. Okay, unless
Who knows? Maybe the guy surprises us. Look, I know we all like to just sit here and assume the worst about Cooper Rush, but maybe the guy comes out and you just never know. I mean, look, I get it. I get what you're saying. I always say you don't know. I mean, and look, he's been around the team. He's been in the system.
This is my problem with everybody saying that. This is not the same Dallas Cowboy team.
I agree. He's got no weapons. I agree.
Exactly. He has no weapons. And that running game, which wasn't even that great last season, is not better this season. Okay? And then they're going against a team that lost. Cincinnati's about to beat them down.
Win ugly, though. Just figure out a way to win ugly. Look, I think they're going to lose to the Bengals. The Giant game, we'll see.
The Giants are going to beat them bad Monday night.
We'll see. The Giants owe them. The Giants owe them some comeuppance. So, because the last few years, the Giants have gotten destroyed by the Cowboys. The Giants owe them some comeuppance. So I'm not saying, the Giants aren't coming out for blood.
And mind you, this is going to be the Giants' second home game. So if they beat the Panthers and they're 2-0, and they get a chance to beat the Cowboys on Monday night, they're 3-0 in front of the nation, then you got them going to get. Their best bet is that home game against the Commanders, October 2nd.
By the way, go ahead, finish.
No, the Rams are going to beat them, and the Eagles on a Sunday night are going to beat them. They have a chance of going 1-6.
Mike McCarthy talking about Cooper Rush.
Every day with Cooper, so he's coach smart. He's got a great disposition for the number 2. There's so much to love about Cooper. But most importantly, he just needs to get in there, run the offense. Just not try to do too much, and we gotta stay aggressive and open the things up.
God, Mike McCarthy sounds like the guy who just went on a date with a girl, and he's like, "Man, she's got a great personality."
I hope she calls.
No, it's the mindset of, she's got a great personality. That's what Mike McCarthy sounds like. Instead of just saying, yeah, you know what, she's a 5.
I ain't like the fact he lied out the gate.
About what?
Saying that Cooper is smart, coach smartly. I didn't like that. Why you lying?
Yeah, that is a weird thing to say, isn't it?
So if you listen to that, he's like, yeah, he's coached smartly. I'm like, from who? By you?
It's true. All right. I got another injury update to give you. We'll do that coming up on the other side. And should she or shouldn't she? What they're saying about a potential return for Serena Williams. What she's saying about it. And how she brought Tom Brady into it. And then I got a Tom Brady story. Shaliz Manzi-Young will join us in about 15 minutes as well. Stick around. Lots more to do on the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. Thanks. I need to get the interview.
Who was I thinking for tomorrow? Definitely college football.
There's the interview. Today. Continuing with this Wednesday edition of the Cash In, and I am Jason Page. Look, as much as we... Continuing with this Wednesday edition of the Cash In, and I am Jason Page. Look, as much as we talk about sports and have fun with it and get into the, the odds and the spreads and all that, anybody who knows me... Moving along on this Wednesday edition of the show, coming up in 13 minutes, Shalise Menza-Young of Yahoo Sports, their columnist there, formerly of the Boston Globe, where she covered the Patriots for years. She is great at what she does and has had a lot to say about the Robert Sarver, Phoenix Suns, Adam Silver story. She's also had a lot to say about the Brett Favre situation in Mississippi with these misappropriated funds that went his way. We'll get into it with her coming up a little later on. By the way, a little pat on the back for yours truly. Last night on the show, I set the over-under at, even Brian McDonald was working the show last night, so he'll know what I'm talking about here. We set the number at 89.5 for yours truly in my round of golf today at Ascena here in Palm Springs. And after tearing it up on the front half with a 42, included several pars, I was playing really well. Shot a 42 on the front 9. Did have a double bogey, which was a bit disappointing. I thought I was going to go sub 40 on that front 9. Was really hitting the ball well on a windy day, too. So anyway, had my sights set on getting under that 89.5 number that we set for me last night. Vlad, by the way, predicted I would go over. Producer Brian in Houston predicted I would go under. And kudos, the winner is Brian McDonald.
There's no video proof.
Brian.
There's no video proof.
Yep. Go ahead, Brian. Take your victory lap. See? That's a man who gets it. He says
there's no video proof.
Doesn't think I would lie. No, there's not going to be video proof. Nobody's out there recording my entire round.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
See? That's it. Absolutely, Brian. We don't need video proof.
I only saw the front 9 score. I didn't see the back 9 score.
Yep. I did. I sent you the whole scorecard. I shot 42 on the front. I shot 47 on the back. I didn't play well on the back 9. I mean, the back 9 on this course for some reason just keeps eating me up. But 30 putts. I had two double bogeys and one triple bogey, and I shot 89. So it tells you a little bit about where my game is right now. If I could avoid the big scores, I'm in that mid 80s range right now.
Oh, all right, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You shot under 90. What do you want, a cookie?
I absolutely want a cookie. Because I'm just getting back in the game. It's only like my 6th or 7th round after taking 10 years off. So, am I coming for the PGA Tour? No.
What, you wanna invite to the live?
I'm hoping I might be able to get my game ready for by the time I'm 50 and I can hit the Champions Tour. How's that?
What if the live offers you some money?
Don't ask me that on the air. The Golden Tee Circuit, Brian says. Okay, fair enough.
Look at you. 2 months ago, how could they? All of a sudden, don't ask me this on the air. Yeah. All right, Fairdy.
No, I'm not. Yeah, money does talk, Brian. You're right. Money does talk. By the way, we're giving these cool boxes of Topps Series 2 blaster boxes away. We're giving one away tonight on the show. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at the back page. Go there right now. Follow me. Send me a message, and you're entered to win. We'll give one away at the end of the show. Simple as that. All you got to do is follow me, enter to win. by following me on Twitter at the back page. And then we'll pick a winner at the end of the show. Send me a message. Slide into my mentions. That's coming up later on in the program. Shalice Man's a young 9 minutes from now. Pete Carroll talking about Jamal Adams, but not saying all that much. And look, the Seahawks, got a gutsy win despite not really being able to do anything offensively in the second half against the Broncos, able to hold them off 17-16 on Monday night. But Jamal Adams suffered, what is thought to be a pretty catastrophic injury. Now they're just saying it's serious. They haven't put him on IR yet. So I guess they're just waiting to see. Pete Carroll talked about it today. He said he got injured when asked how Adams is doing. Will he be placed on injured reserve for supposedly serious injury? Carroll said, I'm not sure how that's going to go at this point. It's a quadricep tendon. Whenever you start talking about tendons, that is very risky stuff. And that it's something that I don't know much about yet, Carroll said. Does that mean surgery? Carroll responded, he's getting all of the information he can right now to make sure that he knows what's next from our guys and other people as well. We have the time to do it, so he's going to take the time to do it right and get his mind really clear on what is the next step. It means so much to him, Carroll said. The frustration of having to go through not being healthy just jumped at him again. He's questioning and wondering because he wants to be out here so much. He wants to be with the guys and doing what we do in every way you could possibly want to do that. So we'll wait and see what the verdict winds up being on Jamal Adams. But Seattle obviously needs him. They need everything they can get on the defensive side of the ball because offensively that while they have some good receivers, there's going to be halves for Geno Smith and games where he looks like he did in the first half on Monday night, and there's going to be games where he looks like he did in the second half where he didn't really do all that much. And this offense wasn't able to move the football all that much. Remember, they had a chance they got the football with, maybe 3 or 4 minutes left in that game on Monday night. And they basically had a situation where with the ball in their hands, they could have run out the clock if they had just gotten a couple of first downs. And they couldn't. So as much as you want to celebrate, the fact that they were able to get a win in that game and their defense held up and was able to keep, Nathaniel Hackett kind of helped him. He might as well have been wearing a Seahawks jersey. Call him the 12th. They could call him. They could call him the 12th man, I guess.
His daddy's son.
Yeah, but as much as you want to get excited about that win, if you're the Seahawks, you could have closed that thing out and never even had to get to the situation that it got to, where Nathaniel Hackett had a chance to make the wrong decision. So now, Seattle. What was that? Oh, I thought one of you said something.
I just said, that's what you're gonna get with Geno. Geno's gonna give you, like you said, he's gonna give you the good and the bad. You got to look at it half full, half empty with Geno Smith.
Yeah, like I said, there's going to be good weeks. There's going to be bad weeks. Seattle, by the way, this week on the road against a 49ers team that is not going to be very happy after the way they played in Chicago against the Bears.
I'm rooting for Geno and the Seahawks.
I got to be honest. This line kind of surprises me.
What is it?
It's San Francisco minus 8.5. It's a lot of points for a 49ers team that couldn't even find the end zone on Sunday.
No, it's not. It's right. What would the line be if this game was in Seattle?
Yeah, but as Scott Seidenberg pointed out, you really can't always look at it that way. That's not always the way you look at it.
Obviously the bettors and the odds maker in Vegas don't think Seattle's a great team. They think the Niners are a better team. Niners home opener.
That's not to say that's fine, but that's not to say the odds makers can't get it wrong too.
No, they get it wrong.
Especially early in the season when we have still yet to learn what some of these teams actually are. Nobody would have predicted that Geno Smith would have come out on Monday night and complete his first 13 passes. But guess what? He did. I guarantee you there wasn't an odds maker in the planet that would have even given you odds on something that absolutely crazy. So
nobody
you just don't know.
Daniel Hackett would make a bad decision as well.
Right.
Yeah, nothing can happen.
But that's what I'm saying. Anything could happen. Seahawks plus 8.5. I'd probably take them. We'll come back, talk about it some more. Shalise Manza-Young on the Robert Sarver NBA Phoenix Suns situation. That's next. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. Sorry, Vlad, I was up against it there.
No, I know. I knew it.
All right, you're clear, Vlad, and
The next 20 minutes.
Brian, you're clear. Yeah, I mean, frankly, Vlad, you're kind of clear almost to the end of the hour because there's only going to be about a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the end of the hour.
Good.
So if you got something to do, go ahead. All right. Continue. Look, a show like this. And what's going on? Continuing with this Wednesday edition of the Cash In, and I am Jason Page. Look, as much as we talk about sports and have fun with it and get into the the odds and the spreads and all that, anybody who knows me knows I am as much a geek for the hardcore news that surrounds sports, and I don't think you can do a show like this and not carry the responsibility of talking about some difficult stories sometimes. And what's going on with the NBA and this Robert Sarver situation in Phoenix and the way the league has handled it is something that's driving a lot of people crazy. And we talked about it last night on the show. Is there something that pushes this beyond the 1-year ban and the $10 million fine for the Phoenix Suns owner? I wanted to bring in Shalise Manza-Young, who does a great job with Yahoo Sports, and kind of get her thoughts on it because she's written about it plenty. Shalise, thanks for coming on the show. Has Adam Silver here essentially just traded a potential legal headache for a social media and outrage headache?
I almost wonder if that was the trade-off and that they believe that they can weather, the social media and the general outrage and training camps are starting soon and the regular season is not too far in the distance. So I think Silver might be taking a Roger Goodell NFL style, like, well, we'll weather the court of public opinion, we'll weather the storm, but once the game starts, the money starts racking in. But you mentioned, is there anything that's going to push it? And just before, we started talking, I noticed LeBron James tweeted about this and said, this is not how we should be handling this, and basically expressed his displeasure with the fact that Robert Sarver only got a 1-year suspension and the fine. He says, our league got this wrong. So when your biggest name is coming out and saying that, hopefully more players will follow, and maybe we will see a change, because unlike the NFL, the NBA is very player driven. And if more big name players come out and say, no, you got this wrong. You talk about, we won't accept racism, we won't accept sexism, and the NBA wants to be much more progressive, certainly, than some of the other professional men's leagues in the United States are. It's going to have to come from the players, and maybe they can push for more.
But is it the sponsors ultimately? I mean, what really sunk Donald Sterling as much as anything was, sponsors backing out, and then there was the threat, obviously, of players not playing, and that also happened in season, and which obviously caused some sort of disgrace for the league. And I thoroughly remember the anger that Adam Silver felt in that moment. I mean, I recall I actually asked one of the questions at his press conference when he had it in New York, and I remember how angry he was. And you wonder, and that was right when he had taken the job and basically just become commissioner. He was still green, on the job. And you watch the way he's handled this, and you wonder if he sort of settled into the role of commissioner and kind of looks at the role differently and these sorts of situations differently than he did when he came into the league. If he's almost been sort of tamped down, so to speak, from what he was when he came into the league. I
agree with that so much. I basically wrote the exact same thing yesterday. That Donald Sterling thing happened right at the beginning of his tenure, and was he trying to send a message back then? And of course, as you kind of just intimated, and as I wrote, what kind of message are you sending now that here it is, 7+ almost 8 years later? And when you talk about the number of incidents and the breadth of incidents that Robert Sarver was involved in, and you gave him basically a slap on the wrist. I mean, $10 million is the most that they can get fined. He probably makes that in 5 home games. He makes $10 million in beer sales and merchandise sales or whatever. It really, I've written it so many times over the last couple of years because of Daniel Snyder in the NFL and, all of these billionaires who run around and just do these really horrible things that, were they not billionaires, if they were you and I, they would have been fired a long time ago. And they just run around with impunity when they do these things. And so obviously sponsors are part of it, but I do think, and it's interesting because Chris Paul, apparently, if I remember correctly, was a big part of the Donald Sterling thing. And Chris Paul is part of the Suns. So why is he not, stepping up and being like, what is happening here? I mean, the list of things that Sarver was accused of and all of the interviews they did and he hurt men and women. Like, he was sexually inappropriate with men and women. He said the N-word, but they couched it as, well, he was just saying the N-word because, well, this black person said it this way and I'm just quoting them. No, dude, no, you can't. That's not how it goes. And even, there were people telling him, you can't say that. And he just kept saying it, like, your garden variety Twitter handle, like Robert S. 774292914. Why can't I say the N-word? They say the N-word. No, you cannot say the N-word. And why do you want to say the N-word? What is it that's burning so deeply in you that you need to say the most vile word in the English language? It's all just, it's like, it makes me, and I've covered sports since I was 18 years old when I started interning at the Providence Journal in Rhode Island. But nothing has soured me on sports more than these last couple of years, and seeing people like Daniel Snyder and Robert Kraft and, Jim Irsay and now
even
Robert
the Browns
Carver.
and even the Browns and how they handled Deshaun Watson.
Don't even get. We will be here for 2 hours.
I got 3. No, I get it. Like I said, when I left Sports Talk in 2016, or maybe it left me, I don't know. But when I left Sports Talk in 2016, it got to the point where I felt like I was talking more about these stories. And again, I come from a reporter background, but long before I ever became a talking head, I was a reporter and a journalist and all that stuff. So you just, I sleep with CNN on because I'm afraid I'm going to miss a big news story. Like it's the old days of like listening to the scanner, to see if any news is breaking in the police departments, that sort of thing. I'm still in that mindset. But at the end of 2016, when I left, I said, my God, I might as well do news talk, because that's essentially what it's become around sports, with all these different types of stories. And now I find myself 6 years later coming back to Sports Talk and thinking about doing a show one way, but you can't ignore these sorts of stories, whether it's Brett Favre, which I want to get a question on, before I let you go, or this type of thing, or Deshaun Watson, all of this stuff. It just seems like you can't avoid it. We're talking with Shalise Manza-Young of Yahoo Sports, who joins us here on the program. And the other element to this is he owns the Phoenix Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any recourse from the WNBA to take his franchise away?
I mean, that's a really, really good question. And that's something that has seemingly gotten lost in it today as Adam Silver was being asked questions. And Silver is not the commissioner of the WNBA. But, the Phoenix Mercury played this entire season that's, wrapping up in the next couple of days of the WNBA finals. The Phoenix Mercury played this entire season under the cloud of Brittany Griner being in Russia. This Black queer woman, they have, the WNBA is, I believe, 75% Black. A fair number of them are probably also queer. The white and Black women are queer. But, and this man's just, I don't know if you can strip him. I think, as we saw a couple of years ago with the woman who co-owned the Atlanta Dream, Kelly Loeffler, that was a player-driven movement that ended up getting her out of the ownership chair with the Atlanta Dream. So could we see something similar? 100%. We could see Nneka Ogwumike, who plays for the Los Angeles Sparks, is the head of the WNBA Players Association. They are some strong women, and they have been, for as much credit as the NBA and NBA players have gotten in recent years for the social justice stances that they've taken, it pales in comparison to what the women of the WNBA have done in recent years. You can 100% make the argument that the reason we have a 50-50 split in the United States Senate is because of the women of the WNBA. Raphael Warnock was barely registering before they started wearing their Vote Warnock t-shirts in the lead up to the Democratic primary. And that was how they went about it, was Raphael Warnock beat Kelly Loeffler, and, the women of the WNBA changed American democracy for the good. So could they do something similar to force him out? I think so. Whether or not he does it is a different situation. I mean, Kelly Loeffler, who knows how entrenched or how fervently she fought. That all happened pretty quietly behind the scenes. I didn't see a lot of reporting on, was she forced out, or did she just say, I can't, I'm not going to deal with these women anymore, and just, gave up her ownership share and stuff like that. But, Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, they have some strong women on that team. And I will be really interested to see if they don't at least draw a line in the sand for themselves and say, no, we need to find a way to get him out of here, because we won't play if this is one of the people who owns one of our franchises.
I only got about a minute left. A thought on Brett Favre. NBC Nightly News gave it the segment treatment tonight, which means this story is still growing. These new text messages show how much he was involved with a Mississippi governor directing more than $1 million in welfare money in one of the poorest states in the country that went to Favre for this volleyball facility at a university that he and the governor both attended. How bad is this right now for Favre?
It's awful. It's awful. It's anybody. I first wrote about this situation 2 years ago. There's an independent journalism organization down there in Mississippi called Mississippi Today. They do phenomenal work. And 2 years ago, they found that Favre had gotten paid like $1.1 million in welfare money for speeches he never made. And that was the first thread. And they've been pulling and keep pursuing this. And now we find out that there was over $5 million, as you said, given to Southern Miss. Brett's daughter was playing volleyball there, so they gave this money for the new volleyball facility. Poorest state in the country. The capital city right now does not have drinkable water and has not for months. And would $5 million have made a difference? No, but just all of it looks horrible right now. And this all happened under the previous governor, but even the current governor has stopped real investigation into what happened with this Favre situation. It's awful and it's terrible. And I really just cry. Like, I cry for the people who live there. Jackson, Mississippi, the capital city, is 80% Black. They do not have drinkable water. And there are stories that document that this is the end result of decades of anti-Black, race-based racism and neglect. That they just, people knew that this was going to be the end result and nobody cared. And so now you tie in this Brett Favre situation, and he can say what the thing for Favre, and I know you got to go, but the thing for Favre is, last year before Election Day, he's run around talking about, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because hardworking, tax-paying people. Really, Brett Favre? Tax-paying people, hardworking people? You think that the poor people of Mississippi who could have used that welfare money, that they don't deserve that money? Like, we're talking about people who need like food on the table. The simple basic need of food on the table, clean water coming out of their faucets, light and warmth and heat and all that kind of stuff. And you knowingly, because the text messages show, knowingly took that money out of those people's mouths so you could build a vanity project volleyball court? No, it's gross. It's so gross.
Shalise Manza-Young, come back. Hopefully we get to do this again.
100%.
And maybe we'll actually have something good to talk about instead of all these negative stories. But the truth is they got to be covered, and I'll always try to shine a light on them whenever we can. Shalise Manza-Young, Yahoo Sports. Always good to catch up. Thanks again.
You bet, Jason. Thanks.
Hopefully the noise in the background wasn't too bad. I didn't realize my mic was still up. Yeah. You could hear because you got headphones on and stuff. That's what I'm thinking too, but... Oh, yeah. Nah, you got a good ear. You heard it all. Nah, I don't think so. But I'll send you a clean version of that. All right. Thanks to Shalise Manza Young for joining us. Got some thoughts with her on the entire situation involving the Suns and Robert Sarver. You still got time. You got 1 hour left to get this box of Topps Baseball Series 2. It's a blaster. And who knows? It could have one of these inside. Julio Rodriguez, SP. If you're watching on the video stream, we just showed it to you. I was able to pull one of these out of a blaster just a few weeks back. So if you get yourself one of these blasters, you might just get one of those Julio Rodriguez cards. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter, follow me there at the back page and just send me a note. Say hello. That's it. You're entered to win. It's that simple. Coming up in the next hour of the program, is Adam Silver becoming Roger Goodell? How bad was it for Nebraska under Scott Frost? Serena's talking about a comeback. She's talking about Tom Brady. We'll explain. Go through the night in baseball as well. Another hour of the Cash-In with me, Jason Page, on the Sports Map Radio Network. Stay here. Okay. Were you able to find out? Have they done any promos with me? All right. Who does them? Carell? Oh, okay. Oh, it's Belmer? Okay. I know John. All right. No worries. All right, convert. All right, I'm emailing that over to you right now. Uh-huh. Do you believe? All right, here it comes. Final hour of a Wednesday/Thursday show. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to Howard Balzer, who joined us earlier in the show. Thank you to Shalise Benza-Young, who joined us in the last hour. And thanks to you for hanging out. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can also tweet at the program at the back page, and tonight is one of those nights where you want to hit us up on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter tonight and you send me a message, you can win a box of Topps 2022 Series 2 baseball cards. It's a blaster box, and if you don't know why this is such a valuable box potentially, all you got to do is look in my right hand if you're watching on the video stream. Otherwise, I'll tell you what it is. The big card in 2022 Topps Series 2 baseball is this Julio Rodriguez SP, which means it's basically a limited print card, and they're very difficult to come by. And right now, if you go look at them on eBay, they're about $300 plus, anywhere from $300 to $330 if you get this card. And who knows? It might be in this box that I'm fixing to give away at the end of the show. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at the back page, and it's as simple as that. You can win the box. Vlad, you are not eligible. Not that you'd probably want it anyway. You don't like baseball cards. And Brian, you're not eligible either. But I don't think you care anywhere because you don't like baseball cards. You're like two of the only people I know that don't like baseball cards. I wanted to open this box so bad. You have no idea. It was driving me crazy. Speaking of Julio Rodriguez, yep, and the Mariners on their way to a win over the Padres. Julio doing amazing things this season. We're back with another hour of the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. What's up, Vlad? Well, the rest of the hour. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really begin. Nah. I'm good. What? Oh, yeah. You said they're not doing it? Oh, they are still doing it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Friggin' Julio, dude. Julio Rodriguez, 25-25 as a friggin' rookie. Guy's unreal. Dude, it has nothing to do with my card. He's going to be Rookie of the Year. He's really good. Although, if Bobby Witt Jr. didn't play on the Royals, he'd be getting a lot more love for Rookie of the Year. Because Bobby Witt Jr.'s also gone. He's close to 25-25. A lot of these kids coming up, man, can steal bases. Like Volpe's got like 40 or 50 steals for the Yankees this year. All these guys can run. Yeah, I don't think single season, that's definitely one of those records that probably doesn't get broken. Whoa, that's really loud. Hold on. Why are you so loud? Yeah. Like when you're not talking, there's so much background noise. Yeah, see, like when you stop talking, it gets really, really loud. No, it's like it has to it's like it picks up something. But it's so bizarre. You don't have like AC on or something, do you? Yeah, it's so weird. I've never heard it like that loud. But it's only like when it's completely silent and nobody's talking. So, I mean, which is never. But that's really weird. All right, we're coming back. I got a bunch of stuff to get to this hour. Julio Rodriguez just continues to do amazing things. I was just talking about him in the break with Vlad, but played you the home run on the Mariners radio network just before we ended the last segment. How about this? I mean, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He stole his 25th base in the Mariners' 6-1 win over the Padres. He also hit a home run. So he's the third rookie in Major League Baseball history. I mean, think about this. Baseball's been played since the late 1890s. Third in history. 25 steals, 25 home runs in his first season. Chris Young did it in 2007. Mike Trout did it in 2012. Rodriguez did it in his debut season Young and Trout reached in the majors late in the previous season, but were still considered rookies the following year. So really, this is a first of its kind for a guy to do this in his very first debut season. I mean, it's just insane. And he's only going to get better. And I'm sure the Mariners are thinking that as they gave him a huge contract. Could potentially make $470 million. Oh, man. Amazing. And again, make sure to follow me on Twitter tonight. End of the show, we'll give away this box of Top Series 2 baseball. You want that box. You need that box. And the reason is Julio Rodriguez has a card in that box. And it is a very valuable card if you happen to get one. So, still got a chance to get it. Just follow me on Twitter at the back page. Send me a note, and you will be entered to win. Simple as that. End of the show. We'll give it away. Lot to get to in the final hour of the program. One question and just going back to the Shalise Manza-Young interview, and something I talked about a little bit at the top of the show and talked about with her. You know, you almost wonder if Adam Silver has sort of become like this jaded commissioner. Whereas when he first came in the league, it was clean it up. We're going to be progressive. By Donald Sterling. You know, you sort of got the sense that there was going to be a real change in culture. But as he settles into the job more, he seems to be becoming more like those standard-bearing commissioners that are more at the behest of ownership and don't want to rock the boat too much at risk of losing their own job. And if you think he can't lose his job, trust me, if the owners revolt, he could. And if the owners see Roger Sarver being the headline of the first 3 months of the NBA season because they're in a lawsuit with him, believe me, Adam Silver could find himself on his derriere on the door on the way out. But you look at the way he handled, you know, and this isn't the only thing that kind of raises an eyebrow. You look at the handle of the NBA in China. And again, not to get overly political here, but I will for a second. The NBA basically is bending the knee to China. Let's be honest about it. I mean, there is a situation underfoot in that country where you've basically got an ethnic cleansing of sorts with the Uyghurs. And, you know, these people being put into prison camps for no reason at all other than, you know, their faith. And you have China doing this. And the NBA is in bed with China to the tune of millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. And the NBA has stayed largely silent on China's behavior in that regard. And whereas the tennis world, namely the WTA, said, hey, China, screw you. We don't like what you did with Peng Shuai and basically hiding her from the world after she accused a government official of sexually assaulting her and then had to retract it under God knows what threat. The WTA said, you know what? We're just not coming back. And they didn't. And they gave up tons of money for the WTA, which, by the way, isn't probably some huge affluent organization, given the fact that the purses in women's tennis aren't that big to begin with when you compare them to other sports. And the WTA stood on its principles. And you know what the NBA's done? Nothing. Nothing. And Yao Ming's been complicit in this whole thing too. Doing anything that China asks to make them look good. And the NBA's in bed with China. And Adam Silver? Nothing. And now you see the way he's handling this Robert Sarver situation where there is a precedent already in place by which to remove Robert Sarver as owner of the Phoenix Suns. Adam Silver? Nothing. Just like Roger Goodell and the Commanders and this whole situation with the emails and the John Gruden, the way this whole Deshaun Watson thing played out. He's become a mini Goodell. Just bald and with glasses. Not a good look. Again, considering the direction the NBA was taken when he took over as commissioner and where they are now, I'm disappointed. How can you not be? As I said earlier in the show, LeBron James has spoken out on the issue. Chris Paul has now spoken out on the NBA's handling of this, both of them saying they're disappointed. And again, we'll wait and see if this continues to grow, if it snowballs into a situation where the league sort of can't hold back, with players starting to speak out, if sponsors start to drop out. It's the only way you're going to see any meaningful action here. All right. Should Serena Williams return? She's teasing it. She was on Good Morning America earlier today. And in her interview with Good Morning America, she said, never say never. But she went beyond that. She brought up Tom Brady at 45 and his still being in the league and continuing to play. And she made it very clear in this interview, and it was the first time she gave some sort of specificity as it relates to what she wants to do in her post-tennis life. And guess what it is? Tennis. She made it very clear. She still wants to be involved in the game. She just doesn't know how. And I'm of two minds on this, and I don't know which mind wins out. One mindset tells me if Serena wants to continue to play, she's earned that right. Even if she says, I just want to play the majors. Maybe she does like Tiger, who's apparently been in her ear a little bit. He was in her box for one of her matches. Maybe she does a Tiger and says, you know what? I'm just going to play the slams. And who's going to stop her? Even if she's not ranked, even if she doesn't play a lot of tune-ups, maybe she'll play 1 or 2 tune-ups. If she just plays 6 or 7 tournaments a year, still gets to spend time with her daughter, can still be involved in the game, but do it at the level she wants. She can do that. And again, that's one route she can go in this sort of quest to continue to be relevant and involved in the game. That's one route. My other mind says, you know what? You just had your farewell. You just had your farewell, or what we thought was your farewell. And why would you want to embarrass yourself getting beat by, the 100th ranked player in the world in some wild card in the first round of some tournament in Paducah? Why do you want to do that if you're Serena Williams? Again, she has the right to do it. But why would you want to? If you can't compete at that super high level. Maybe she plays doubles or does something like that with Venus and continues to play. Maybe they focus on trying to win some doubles terms. I don't know. But what do you want to do at this point if you're Serena? Do you want to subject yourself to going out there and being some ceremonial figure, almost like, Jack Nicklaus at the end of his career, playing in tournaments, playing in majors when you knew he didn't have a chance to win, but he'd go around and wave his little cap in the air? Yeah, and that's, again, I find it kind of interesting.
Nah, man. She's got to stop that. She can't do the Willie Mays.
Well, she might.
She can't do Willie Mays as a Met.
She might. She might convince herself that she might convince herself that she could still make one more run in one of these tournaments.
One more run at what?
Listen, I'm not. Listen, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
You know how I felt. I told you she's been past
yes,
prime.
Yes, we know. We all know.
6 years.
You get a medal.
What I'm saying is, your legacy's established. You can't ruin it, but people remember the last thing they saw.
Absolutely.
That's the more recent. It's more recent. And what I've seen over the last year and a half, she's been getting eliminated She hasn't seen the second week of tournaments. So yeah, it was
she's
nice.
barely played too. I mean, again, I don't disagree with you, but you know, we're not seeing her in the second week of tournaments because she's barely played.
So then, what do you expect her to happen? What do you expect to happen if she comes back another year? She's still raising a daughter. She's not playing major.
I agree with you, but it might be hard for her to convince herself of that.
Convince herself what? She doesn't. Man, please. Man.
Listen, you can say "man, please" all you want, but you hear her talking about still being involved in the game. Clearly, it's not out of her system.
I'm not saying it to you. I'm saying it. I mean, I'm really saying it more to her.
Right.
Like it's her career. It's her. She's Serena.
And that's just it, though. The argument is, again, the one mindset is she's earned the right to play as long as she wants to play, as long as she's not an embarrassment to the sport, which she isn't. She is obviously still competitive.
Yeah, but Jason, do you really want to see Serena coming in as a wild card
and
getting eliminated by the 118th player in the world?
I don't. And again, it's kind of different in that regard from golf with Tiger or with Jack at the end of his career or Tom Watson or any of these guys, you know, when Fred Couples shows up at the Masters and hits a couple of good shots and everybody's happy because they're just part of a giant field.
Going against a course.
Right.
It's not match play.
No.
It's stroke play.
Right.
So you're going against the course. Everybody's going against the same elements. In tennis, you have somebody hitting that ball right back to you.
Absolutely.
And if they're younger and better, they're going to win.
By the way, not to make it about me, but I'm going to for a second. I'm playing tennis next Tuesday for the first time since high school.
What's wrong with you? You're not an athlete. What makes you
I am an athlete. First of all, I am an athlete. I'm just an out-of-shape athlete, but I am an athlete.
No, you're an athlete.
No, I'm an athlete.
You're just a non-athlete.
No, I'm an athlete. It's not a question. I'm an athlete.
You're a non-athlete.
I am an athlete.
You're a non-athlete.
You can say it all you want, but I'm an athlete. All right, stick around. We're coming back. I got to get into Tom Brady, who Serena referenced in her most recent comments about a potential comeback. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of minutes. Also, the night in baseball, and how bad was it for Nebraska under Scott Frost? We'll tell you. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. Yeah, that mix minus button doesn't do good things for you, Vlad. It actually mutes you for some reason. Luckily, it only took me about a half a second to figure it out.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Hold on, I want to try something else. That doesn't do anything. All right.
Donovan Mitchell saying they were close.
Yeah. I was going to actually get into that tonight.
Jesus.
The Knicks finally had somebody that wanted to play in New York, and they didn't make the move to get him.
It's not the Knicks didn't make the move. The Jazz, Danny Ainge didn't want to give him to New York.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Did the Knicks make the right pass? You know, I'm sure the Jazz had a demand,
dude,
and the Knicks didn't want to match it.
2 first-round picks.
But I wonder what the Jazz wanted.
Well, clearly it was R.J. Barrett. Something must have happened for them not to put R.J. in the, to give R.J. the money.
Yeah. James Edward Brown tweeted at the show. Said, Jason, what's up? Enjoying your show and just started listening on Monday, even though I'm a week late, but I'll catch up on YouTube. Very informative, and it's absolutely amazing and fantastic. # best sports talk radio show.
Who said that?
Somebody on Twitter. And they're not related to me. somebody in Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, we have an affiliate there.
Ooh, Valerie Loretta is going to be part of the WWE. Okay.
Who?
Valerie Loretta. She's a former MMA Strikeforce fighter, girlfriend of Donovan People-Jones, and just really a
coming back. Sorry.
Beautiful human being.
All right. Hang on, hold on. Hey, I just saw the 7,000th commercial for the attempts to legalize sports betting in California. No, literally like the 7,000th commercial. It's literally every 5 seconds you turn on the TV in California and there's a commercial for make it legal in casinos. Oh, no. Make it legal everywhere. You can do sports betting, mobile sports betting, blah, 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 blah. I'll be happy when this vote's over one way or the other. Hopefully it's a yes vote and we have legalized sports betting in California, but I'll just be happy when it's over. Because, man, we've got 6 more weeks of these ads to see. It just doesn't end. Do they have anything like that in Florida? Because you guys are kind of without it right now, Vlad.
Nah, Rubio's not putting those type of commercials on there, but there's a heavy push to make sure that sportsbook is legal in the state of Florida.
Yeah,
but we don't get those commercials like California has.
Oh my God, it's every 5 minutes. It's just brutal.
I wish they did down here.
Yeah, I know. We wish it out here too. I was just saying the other day, it's like if they don't make it legal out here, why would I stay here? You know, not that I was staying here for that reason, but I'm hosting a show. It's kind of built around sports betting and fantasy and all that stuff. It's like,
I mean, it is California, which has become almost the sports capital of the world.
Yes, it is. It is. And listen,
it's got to be legal.
I live in a place where I can play golf 12 months a year, and that's not easy to walk away from either. You know, it's nice. It's nice to live in paradise at least, 9 months of the year anyway. It's kind of like a paradise. Thanks to James tweeting at us on Twitter. Listening to the show, says, Jason, what's up? Enjoyed your show and just started listening on Monday, even though I'm a week late, but I catch up on YouTube. Very informative. It's absolutely amazing and fantastic. # best sports talk radio show. Thank you, James. Check is in the mail. If you want to, all you have to do is follow me on Twitter at the back page. Sorry. Follow me on Twitter at the back page. And tonight, one lucky listener who follows me on Twitter and sends me a message like James did, doesn't have to say all that, but just send me a message, and you could win a 2022 Topps Series 2 blaster box. It's heavy, too. And you never know. You might pick out something amazing. Maybe a Julio Rodriguez card. You just don't know. Couple other things I want to get to before we go tonight. I'll get around baseball a little bit. But the mess that is, and I don't know if anybody knew just how bad it was, but the Scott Frost situation, yeah, they weren't winning games, and obviously that's a big part of the reason why Scott Frost got canned. But apparently that wasn't the only reason. In a recent appearance on Hurrdat Sports, Nebraska insider Michael Sever pointed out that Nebraska athletic director Trev Alberts isn't really willing to talk to the press about everything that happened during the Frost tenure. But this reporter can. And he says there were a ton of issues beyond the wins and losses, such as Frost frequently being late for practice, not making necessary phone calls to recruits, and perhaps the biggest issue was assistant coaches in the Nebraska program couldn't talk to Alberts. They couldn't go to Frost with their problems, so they were going over his head and talking to Trev Alberts. And when you get to that point, I mean, you know the end is near. For some fans, the allegations that were made by this Nebraska insider, they're saying, it can't possibly be true. A lot of people that know Frost, though, and have followed him over the years since his hiring, said that these allegations have been out there for a while. This isn't really new news. Now, let's just take it at face value and say, all right, it's true, which is, I will grant you that is kind of risky, because in this day and age, somebody could go out tomorrow and say that I like to sleep with baby goats. And while it won't be true, the allegation is out there and somebody might believe it. In the case of this, though, it's clear that, a lot of people say where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's just say it's true, though. Let's say you're that bad at your job if you're Scott Frost. Now, keep this in mind. Because he was terminated prior to October 1st of this year, he's going to get paid $5 million a year between now and the end of 2024. That $5 million for 2022 is prorated to account for the late date on the calendar. And for 2025 and 2026, Nebraska owes Scott Frost $2.5 million per year. If you're not good at math, I'll do it for you. That's $15 million plus whatever remains of the $5 million he's owed for this year. Can we all suck at our jobs so badly to get that kind of payout? Can you imagine that? 15 million. And last time I checked, Nebraska is a public school, right?
Oh, yeah, man. So
the taxpayers are on the hook for $15 million to this loser. But then again, maybe the loser is the Nebraska taxpayer. Maybe it's the Board of Regents or whatever.
Remember I was in Iowa and they hate Nebraska out there.
Yeah.
So when they lost, that was their thrill. They enjoyed seeing Nebraska and Scott Frost lose. So when I woke up the next day and I saw that they fired him, and the new interim head coach, I was like, man, things have really gotten bad in Nebraska.
If Nebraska had waited 3 more weeks to fire Frost, his buyout would have dropped significantly. And because the school's a bye the week of September 24th, he would have only had to coach 2 more games. So why not wait? But that just tells you how bad it must have gotten.
No, not only that, Jason. It was that bad. And you know who they play this Saturday, right?
Who do they play this Saturday?
When you think of Nebraska, who do you think?
Just tell me who they play.
Their longtime rival. Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, big Saturday on Fox.
But man,
if Oklahoma drops
instead you come in with your program in disarray, and Scott's not part of it, and he's still getting paid a ton of money. We'll come back with more of the Cash In. I'm Jason Page. This is Sports Map Radio.
All right, 2 more segments to go.
What'd you say?
I said 2 more segments to go.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna get Jamie again. I'm gonna try to see if we can get Jamie every Friday for fantasy.
If he's up for it, the problem with getting people every Friday is they might think they got to get compensated.
But we'll see. Or at least I'll try to have like a steady combination.
Yeah.
A rotating crew, a bullpen of sorts. Okay, yeah, I got somebody for fantasy I can bring in. We got 3. How many weeks are in the season? 18? Okay.
Let's see.
I'm gonna try to get Lisa Horn for live tomorrow. Heisman Trophy voter, Lisa Horn.
We almost got her last week, didn't we?
I was thinking of getting her.
Yeah.
I didn't get her. I was just mentioning her.
Yeah, this is so weird tonight. Is there a setting on that mic that... It's so bizarre.
That's not me. I hear all that static, but that's not from my end.
No, it's you. I turned everything off.
Bro, I'm in the same setting that I've
Yeah,
always been.
I know, but it's like I said, when everything goes quiet, it's picking up. It's I think it's one of those what's the name of it? Oh God. What is it called? Brian, you're an expert in engineering. What's it called when a mic just picks up noise, like when nobody's talking? Know what I mean? Brian. You know what I'm talking about? Like when a mic goes quiet and it just picks up noise. Yeah, that's what's happening, and it's so weird. But it's only when his mic goes quiet, like if nobody's talking. Yeah, there's got to be something on that mic. All right, stand by. Come back. The future in Major League Baseball is just so bright. I mean, there's just no getting around it. There's so much young talent in this game right now. You know, whether you're talking about a guy like O'Neal Cruz in Pittsburgh, we talked about Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr., Corbin Carroll, who's now up with Arizona. Hell, Dalton Varsho, who I think was a rookie last year, he has like 25 home runs this year. There's so much young talent. And, it's kind of funny because in the old days, up until this year, teams were not incentivized to bring up their young prospects. Now they're bringing them up, and oh my God, they're actually good. Like teams don't want to have to pay that extra year of service time and all that stuff. Well, now teams are starting to find out that a lot of these guys that they don't bring up, they're really good. Really good. So, kind of interesting to see. A night in baseball, Yankees continue to keep their grip on the AL East. They got to win. Toronto and Tampa Bay are now 6 and 7 back off the pace, so the Yankees are in a really good position right now to win that division. That was just some of what took place around Major League Baseball tonight. Also, tonight, that not the only consequential result. The Mets lost to the Cubs. Mets are just going to figure out a way to lose this division. They are. And just, and all that money and all the hoopla around this team and Timmy Trumpets and they might wind up being a wild card team.
I'm happy you mentioned this. I don't think that'd be crazy. When you said that yesterday, I was like, nah, man, they still got the lead, man. Now they're only a half game up on the Braves. Has anybody noticed that Pete Alonso hasn't really hit much home runs in the second half of the season?
Been pretty quiet.
Very quiet. Very quiet. I believe he had 26 home runs at the All-Star break, and I think he's only hit at least 8 or 9 after. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Mets and Braves, by the way, same number of losses now. So they're basically tied in the loss column, which, as John Sterling always says, well, you can make up wins. You can't make up losses. So the Mets tonight, a loser. At home against the Cubs, 6-3. The 61-win Cubs, by the way. It's top of the 10th in Arizona. Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks 3-2. Looking for their 99th win of the season, closing in on 100 for the year. Just to see we'll see how high they actually wind up going. I mentioned O'Neal Cruz hit his 15th home run tonight. He didn't get called up till the middle of the season, by the way. And he has hit some lasers. He had the hardest hit ball in the history of the StatCast era just a couple of weeks ago. So O'Neal Cruz, his 15th home run of the year tonight. And again, another one of those teams with a lot of good young talent in the pipeline. Pittsburgh Pirates. Might suck right now. It ain't going to suck forever, though. Guardians, a winner over the Angels 5-3. Staying on top in that American League Central. Astros keep their firm grip on the top spot in the American League with a 2-1 win in Detroit over the Tigers. Costly loss for the White Sox tonight, 3-0 at the hands of the Rockies. And there are people begging for the team to basically exile Tony La Russa, who hasn't been healthy, and instead install Miguel Cairo as the permanent manager of that team. He's been taking over in La Russa's absence. But there's a lot of people that would like to see Miguel Cairo get that job after the job that La Russa has done with that team this year. Now, I'm not a La Russa guy. I was never a fan of them bringing him back. And he's made some real questionable, boneheaded moves this year. But at the same time, he's had a lot of injuries to deal with there this year. Eloy Jimenez has been hurt. Luis Roberts been hurt. Giolito's been kind of dealing with some issues and not performing to his capabilities. Jose Abreu's been hurt. I mean, every star on that team virtually has been dealing with injuries. The White Sox are better than this. They get healthy next year, get the right skipper, they'll be a factor again in that AL Central, which is always winnable because it's not very good. It is the division of mediocrity. Padres fall to the Mariners tonight, 6-1, 80th win of the year for the Mariners. Phillies hanging on to their wild card hopes. Beat the Marlins tonight, 6-1. Orioles trying to hang around in the wild card race as well. Beat the Nationals 6-2. And when you talk about the Orioles and their future, it's all about Adley Rutschman, Ryan Mountcastle. Gunnar Henderson had 2 more hits tonight. He's hitting .320 since they called him up. God, they're so good. Some of these kids, again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Baltimore is going to be good for a long time. And the shame of it for them is they just play in the toughest division in baseball. No home runs for Aaron Judge tonight in the Yankees 5-3 win over the Red Sox. He sits at 57. Yankees now will leave Boston after this mini series. And let's see, the Yankees now go to Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee for 3, and this is why the Yankees, I mean, literally, the schedule sets up so good for them. They get Milwaukee for 3, Pittsburgh for 2.
And then Toronto.
They've won 4 in a row. So they get Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, so you can run this thing up a little bit. Then you got Boston. Then you've got Boston at Yankee Stadium for 4, and the Red Sox have mailed it in at this point. Then you've got Toronto for 3, Baltimore for 3, and Texas for 3.
That. Because even though they're not going to make the playoffs, Alex Cora has said they would love nothing more than to spoil the plans of their division rivals.
Yeah, but they're playing kids now. You know, Brian tonight they started a guy who'd never started a major league game in Brian Bello. Tristan Casas is up. You know, they're playing their kids now. Yeah, they're going to say the right things and say they want to beat the Yankees, and I'm sure they do. And they've still got plenty of talented guys on that roster. But let's be honest, this is not the Red Sox that we were supposed to see this year.
Yeah, but still a rivalry.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Not calming down. Just giving you facts. I'm just giving you facts. Just giving you facts.
No. You're giving opinions.
Giving facts. Giving you facts. They've beaten up on Boston. Boston's not a good baseball team. You should beat Boston this year.
You should, but if they don't, then you're going to be
No, I'm not going to be anything. I'm just saying the schedule sets up better for the Yankees than everybody else in that division. Case closed. They've got the weakest schedule left. They just do. Again,
Yeah, and they've had weak schedules before and they lost. They
Yes.
lost a couple games to Cincinnati. They lost the game. They've lost games when they should have won.
Vlad,
They lost a couple
they're
games to
87. They're 31 games over 500.
I get that, but so what? But
No,
you
so
said-
what? They're 80. They're 31 games over
So what, you
500.
telling me they can't lose 6 games? You telling me they can't lose
No.
6 games?
Well, no, I'm not to say they
All
can't
right, then.
lose 6 games.
So then just because they still got to perform, they still got to play. Because there's a couple of games that they could have. They're playing this team and
10,
they didn't
11,
win.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
There's 19
18.
games left.
Yeah. If they okay, so listen, they're gonna win. Let's see, right now, 19 games left. Do they win 100? Do they go 13 and 6?
I don't know.
No, I'm asking you a question.
I don't think so.
I'm
I
asking
don't
you
think
a
so.
question.
I don't think so.
They do. I'll say they absolutely win 100.
I don't think so. I put money on that. I don't think
With
they
that
do.
schedule remaining, they will
bet
win
you money
13
they
of their last 19.
I bet you money they don't. Yeah, you kind of quiet right now.
No, I'm not quiet at all. Not quiet at all.
They don't get 100.
Yeah, they're going to win 100.
I bet you money they don't win 100.
Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, yeah, 13
The
and
schedule
6.
didn't change. The
No, I
schedule
know.
didn't change
I
after
know.
repeating it. The schedule didn't change.
3
It's the same
against.
schedule.
Oh, they play, and I'm wrong. They don't play 3 against Texas to finish the season. They play 4 against Texas to finish the season. Yeah, they're
Right.
going. They're definitely going.
So
13 and
you're
6.
telling me
yes.
a team that might have already clinched the division is going to be playing their guys mind you if they're a top 2 seed, they get a week off.
They have to play their guys. I'll tell you why. First of all, you're going to keep playing Judge because you're trying to get, he's having this historic season and he's on an MVP run. So he's going to keep playing. And they've got certain guys coming up. Severino's coming back. He's going to have to play. He's expected to be a rotation guy for them in the postseason.
But then, okay,
Zach
Severino
Britton's
pitchers,
coming back potentially.
Those are pitchers. I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But you could. That's good.
You're still going to start your starters. You're not sitting them.
But you're not playing all your everyday.
Yeah,
guys.
you
That's
are.
great, but you got to
You're
still score.
absolutely going to play all your guys.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
No, they're not.
Oh my God.
You're not playing.
It's like
Rizzo
banging
with a
my
bad
head
bat.
against the wall. Of
They're not
course
gonna
they
play
are.
DJ LeMahieu. They're not playing LeMahieu with a bad toe.
They
when
can't
have
play
a chance.
LeMahieu. He's hurt. Rizzo's going to come back and play. You've got to have him for the postseason.
All right, put your money where
Rizzo's
your
coming
mouth
back.
is. They don't win 100 games.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, you're going to have to give me odds.
And I'm not giving you no
Absolutely.
damn odds.
Of course you are.
You were just saying, oh, they're gonna win. They're gonna win 100. Now you want to give me.
If that, I got news for you, Vlad. If that bet was in Vegas, if that bet was in Vegas, you'd have to give odds. Vlad, you can sit there and yell all you want, but the reality is this. The reality is this. If there were a bet in Vegas about whether the Yankees win 100 or not with 19 games left and them having 87 wins, I got news for you. There'd be odds. It's not just a minus 110 bet each way.
This is me. I'm not this.
Well,
this
I
is
don't
not
care.
Vegas. This is no sports.
Then there's
book.
no
You
bet.
said-
Simple
your
as
mouth
that.
said- your mouth said they're gonna win 100 games. That's
You'd
what
have
you
to
said.
get. You'd have to give odds.
Did you just not say they're gonna
Yes.
win 100 games?
Yes.
So
But
you
if I
said
were
they're
making
gonna
that
win 100
bet,
games-
if I were making that bet, there would have to be odds.
No, they ain't
Yeah.
no damn odds.
Yeah,
No,
there
you're-
is. It's as simple
straight
as
up.
that.
They're
You
gonna win
can
100 games.
you can get as angry as you want. There's going to be odds on it, or they ain't going to be a bet. Simple as that. That's fine. I ain't got a bet on it. I'm telling a national audience that they're going to win 100 games.
So if you saw,
And I got news for you. I'd be just as happy to be correct about them winning 100 games and not winning a penny on it. I don't need your money to validate it.
$100. Yankees
Nope.
win 100 games or not?
Nope. Not $100. Not
$100.
without odds.
No, they're not.
You can listen. You can be as disgruntled as you want. Got to put odds on it though. Simple as that. Is there anybody else that could win 100 other than? Let me see here. Is there anybody else that could win 100 other than the Yankees?
Braves can win 100. The
Yankees,
Mets can win 100.
Houston, Mets.
Can win 100.
There's more than a few teams that can win 100. Mets, Braves, Houston,
Just said that.
and the Yankees could all win 100. Yankees have won 8 of 10, by the way. And the second best run differential in baseball, which is kind of crazy considering that 6-week stretch they had.
Talking all that talking. I can't even put the money out.
Only an idiot would make that bet without odds. That's simple. Simple as that. You can. Like I said, I would be an idiot to make that bet without odds.
So if I say, oh, you know what? The Jets are going to win the next 15 games in a row.
Yeah.
Right? And you say, no, I don't believe that, Vlad, and I bet you. And I tell you, no, well, then give me odds.
I would give you odds.
Stupidity
no, that's not. Because the odds are in my favor to win the bet.
No odds. I said
yes,
something.
That's the way it works.
No. It's not that. You said something, and you're sure about it.
Yep.
Right?
I'm absolutely sure.
So then there's no.
But if you're sure, but if it's a lock, you'd give the odds because it is odds.
No, it's a straight up bet.
Nope.
You said they're gonna win 100. They got 19 games.
Listen, you can yell all you want. That bet ain't happening without odds. Simple as that. I love seeing you get bent out of shape, though. It's so easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. All right, I got a quick note I got to get to on Live Golf. Greg Norman said something interesting today, and this time I actually believe him. I'll explain what it is before we say goodbye. On the Cash In, I'm Jason Page at Sports Map Radio. Oh, hell no. What is this? God damn it. $7.56. Who's on the board tomorrow night, Brian? Oh, okay, cool. Coming back. All right, we can put a poll up on my Twitter feed at the back page. I just put a live poll up on my Twitter feed at the back page. I'll do the same on my Facebook as well. Do the Yankees win 100 games? Vote yes or no. Simple as that. It's not a complicated vote. They're 87-56. Do they win 100 games? Yes or no? We'll see what the listeners and viewers of the show think. Go and check it out on Twitter at the back page. Congratulations, James in Detroit. You win the box of Top Series 2 baseball cards. We'll get your information on Twitter. And you are a winner. Congratulations. Greg Norman says 4 networks are vying for the TV rights to Live Golf. And here's why I believe him. I don't think that David Faraday would have gone there without some sort of guarantee that they were going to be on TV in the near future. I don't think Faraday would have taken the deal. He's not taking a deal to be on YouTube. So I actually believe Greg Norman when he says that. That's going to do it for us. For executive producer Vladimir Louisant, our producer engineer Brian McDonald, I'm Jason Page. We'll catch you back here tomorrow night on the Cash In on the Sports Map Radio Network. Have a great night. Thank you, Bri. Yeah. Oh, can you do me a favor? Actually, no, don't worry about it. I don't need it. I'm good. So you've got the 3 segments, right? Okay. No worries. Yep. Cool. Thank you. Bye. You got any more? What's your work schedule like rest of the week, Vlad?
I don't work for QAM until Saturday and Sunday. I work the weekends.
So they don't have you doing like any regular talk shows, or they just having you do play-by-play?
No, they don't have me to. No, they have me fill in, and I guess they wanted me to do the Heat shit, but that's why I'm just waiting for the phone. You know what you guys are doing? Because if it's a little bit later, they had me. I think they want me to do the Heat game, so.
Well, we'll see how
working right after Heat games.
We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow with this call. I have a call at 10 a.m. out here tomorrow morning with the folks at. Right, to our streaming audience, this is me saying goodnight. We'll see you back here on Thursday for the Cash In. Then we'll be following Thursday Night Football. Yeah. I'll see you guys later. Bye.